Hello everyone and welcome back to this week's Worship Piano Tip of the Week. Today we're going to be talking about something that sounds really simple, but it makes one of the biggest differences in your worship playing between you sounding like a beginner and sounding like a pro. And that is consistent tempo, your timing and your rhythm. Because you can be playing all of the right chords, but if your timing is all over the place, if it just sounds really sloppy and not smooth, not locked into the pocket, then it's not really going to make much of a difference. And it's not going to sound very professional. It's going to be the clear sign that comes across right away that you sound like a beginner. So today we're going to be talking about how to fix that and how to work on that to take you from sounding like a beginner to sounding like a professional. In worship music, timing is everything. Great players don't just play, again, all the right chords or even all the right notes, but they play them in time and they play them smooth and concise. When your tempo is consistent, you create stability in your playing. You create stability in contexts where you're leading worship for a band, for singers, and even a congregation that you're leading in worship. This is one of those things that separates those moments from feeling very messy and uncertain to feeling very confident and very stable and really just able to flow with the move of the Spirit in your worship playing. So here's the thing, we're going to get right into it in this week's tip of the week. The only real way to create consistency in your playing and to have better tempo and better rhythm is to practice with a metronome or a click track. So there it is. That is the secret sauce. There's no way around it. You have to practice with a metronome or with a click track to create consistency. That is something that is measurable, that keeps your worship playing up against something that you can really, again, it's measurable so you can really tell how consistent your playing is. And that is the quickest way to improve your playing is by playing with a metronome and a click track. When you first start playing with a metronome or a click track, it is going to feel a little unnatural for you. It is a little bit of a learning curve and it is a little bit difficult and it can even be a little bit intimidating the very first time you play with it. But again, stick with it. You're going to get more comfortable. Your tempo and your consistency is going to get better and better the more that you practice with it. And as you continue with your practicing, you're going to really find yourself getting into that pocket with your rhythm and with your tempo. So let's talk about how to practice with the metronome or with the click track. So I recommend starting off setting your metronome or your click track to a lower BPM, somewhere probably around 70 BPMs, which just stands for beats per minute, and practice all of your scales to a metronome and to a click. So this is something that should already be a part of your practice routine daily anyway. So you're kind of accomplishing two things at once. By practicing your scales and just turning a metronome or a click on, you're gaining the benefit of course, practicing your scales and enhancing those skills, but you're also able to work on your timing and your rhythm and your tempo at the same time. So that is the first thing that I would do when it comes to practicing is you're going to practice all your scales with a metronome and with a click. Again, start off around probably 70 BPMs or beats per minute, and then as you get better and better, you can actually speed that click track up so that you get better and better at your tempo. And then if you need to, you can also start slower than 70 BPMs. So you just kind of find a good starting point and then you work with a couple different timings on the click track. So maybe a lower, slower tempo, maybe a medium tempo, and then maybe a faster tempo as you advance. Let's take a look at what it looks like to play through our scales with a click track. The second thing that you're going to do that's going to help you with your tempo and your timing is take a chord progression and practice playing a chord progression to a metronome and a click track. The third thing that you're going to do in your practice time that's going to help you grow really, really fast with this is any worship songs that you're currently working on learning and you're currently working on during your practice time, look up the BPMs for them, see what the tempo for that song is, and try to practice that song at its original tempo. So whatever that may be, whether it's 70 BPMs, 85, 90, or maybe it's a faster song and the BPMs are even higher than that. But doing these three things is going to greatly increase your consistency. It's going to help your timing and your rhythm. And again, this is what separates your worship playing from sounding very beginner to sounding very professional. Because again, you can play all the fancy chords, you can play all the fills, all the runs, you can do all those things. But if you can't play in consistent timing and with a consistent tempo, all of that extra stuff is not going to make a difference. To be a very solid professional sounding worship pianist, you got to have great tempo. So let's take a quick look at what it would look like to practice playing a chord progression with a metronome in your practice time. Again, so you can kind of get a feel for this and kind of see and feel what that looks like and sounds like together. Bonus tip, for those of you that are also singers or worship leaders, I would also recommend singing along and humming along. You can sing, you can hum, whatever is easier for you starting off, to a worship song while practicing with a click track. This is also going to connect your voice and you singing with your hands and with that rhythm. I know that sounds maybe a little bit weird, but that is also going to help you with your timing because again, you're connecting more muscles in your body at the same time to that tempo by singing along with it. It's also going to help you in the future if you're wanting to play piano and also be able to sing at the same time, which for some sounds like something very simple, but for others, you know, there's a big learning curve to that, and it can be a little bit tough and even a little bit of a struggle for some people to get to the point to where they can play piano and also sing at the same time. So again, this is another way where you're compounding multiple skills together at the same time so that you're able to grow more rapidly. So by practicing a worship song or a chord progression with a click track, and then also singing at the same time, you're really combining three skills all together. And again, that's going to make a greater impact on your growth, and you're going to grow faster in your worship playing, and your timing is going to be better. Also, this pairs perfectly with my brand new PDF, Practicing with a Purpose, where I help you build your 15-minute daily routine for your worship playing so that you can really accelerate your growth. If you haven't already downloaded that free PDF, make sure to jump down into the description below. I'm going to link it in there where you can jump right over and get that free PDF. This is also going to give you an exact plan to follow every day for your practice time and make it very, very simple for you to plug in your metronome and click track practice right into your daily practice routine. So make sure that you grab that. And again, thanks so much for watching this week's Tip of the Week. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you can stay up to date with these future tips of the week. And we will see you next week with another worship piano tip of the week.